Welcome to Connections. I'm your host, April Healy. I'm sitting with my good friend, Dan Weber. He's the director over third year, School of Supernatural Ministry, and he's a pastor on staff. Welcome, Dan. Hi.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. I'm glad to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. Today I'd love to talk about leadership. I know that you're like a born leader. It's just what you do. It's how you see life. And so can you actually tell me, have you always felt like you were a leader growing up, or is that something you felt like you grew into?
Wow, no, I don't think I ever grew up feeling like a leader. I think looking, backwards on your life, you can see, oh, okay, that was kind of always there. But growing up feeling it, no. But I didn't have really high self-esteem either, so.
Okay. Gotcha. So it felt like something new within the last, what?
Well, I mean, I think, it's, kind of gone through life and grown into my, my giftings and my calling and all that stuff. You start seeing, oh, this is kind of a natural thing that I do and natural thing that have had. And if I look back, I can go, oh, okay, I had it here, I had it there. I can go back and see it as an attribute always kind of showing up. But yeah. Yeah,
that's awesome. What values have you instilled in yourself to become a great leader?
What values have I instilled? Honestly, I think what probably makes a good leader is one who is authentic.
Yeah.
And I think if you're gonna instill a value, I think you're really just stewarding your growth and taking responsibility for, who you are as you're growing along in life. And I think I've done that and continue to do that. It's definitely not always the fun route to grow. It's not always easy, but I think by doing that, you're able to show up in an authentic way and people feel that. It's not just based on charisma and great speaking, but it's based on something a person carries.
Yeah. How do you lead yourself right now in, in life, in the way you love Jesus, the way you love your kids, your family?
Leading myself probably, goes again back to that probably similar answer to the other question of really stewarding my growth and pursuing what the Lord's doing with me in whatever season I'm in, and being faithful with what He's put in my hand and the season that He's put it in my hand.
Yeah.
And leading myself through that. In other words, making choices, and sometimes hard choices, to do the right thing and to say yes and be obedient to Him and to trust Him, even when it doesn't feel right, it doesn't feel good, and heck, it might be a lot easier going other routes. But I think leading yourself is making those hard choices, and that's really at the end of the day what builds the character and really that kind of that inner life that people feel and see and develops and causes influence, where people want to give you influence to lead them, which is really what leadership is. So.
Yeah, that's really good. Do you think everyone's called to be a leader?
Yes.
And how? Can you expand?
How? Can you elaborate on that?
Yes, please.
I think, I mean, we're all called to lead ourselves, B, lead in whatever sphere of influence that we find ourselves in.
Yeah.
Especially as believers, our call is to transform the world, and we do that by, taking responsibility for the sphere of influence that we find ourselves in, and just in that, in and of itself, where you're meant to lead. You're meant to lead there.
Yeah.
So yes.
That's really good. What advice would you give up and coming leaders?
Up and coming leaders. Well, I think allowing yourself to be led would be probably the cornerstone of becoming a great leader. It's not until we give someone else permission to lead us and we're able to be influenceable, teachable, correctable, guided, directed. Because, as we're young, as I still am, it's sometimes hard to see where you're going, what you're trying to accomplish, and what the Lord has for you. And it requires having, real strong, healthy leaders that have big visions for us and can see more than we can see to help guide and direct. And I mean, my life's been transformed and changed and found as a result of allowing people to lead me along my journey. And so as they're coming up, that would probably be the first thing is, really allow people to speak into your life and allow people to lead you.
So how would you do that?
Well, I mean, we're kind of bridging on a couple topics with leadership / sonship type of conversation, but I think when we're talking about that, it's really a posture more than it is even a practical action. Okay. Like Leif Hetland said one time, don't ask who will be your father, don't ask who will father you, ask who can I be a son to.
Wow, that's really good.
And it's this posture that, as growing to become a great leader, which is someone who has influence, that if I'm going to be trustworthy with other people's lives, well, that grows as I become learning how to trust other people with my life. And that's that kind of sonship parallel. But I can be teachable and influenceable, and I can allow people to lead me that I don't ever actually have physical contact with. At the same time, not to forsake, but to add to, we should have a couple people that we allow in our lives to directly lead us and bounce stuff off of, I've got a crazy idea, I want to do this and take over the world like that. And, a leader in my life says, I don't think it's time, I don't think you're ready for that. Yeah. And if I don't let him lead me, I probably will end up doing what I want to do. And sometimes that's not always the best thing. And so, it's those, so it is important to have those people in your life. But again, it goes back to that posture of, no, I'm gonna lead a life of teachability and influenceability, and really we're talking about humility now.
I love how you know exactly what you're talking about. It's really actually super helpful that you're defining it, So what is one of your first favorite leadership roles that you were in?
First favorite leadership roles? Probably the first time I ran a class. We had this school of ministry thing, a once a week part-time thing, in a church I came from, and I just started doing it was a third-year program, happened to be a third-year program, and started doing it. I'd never done any teaching, had never done any classes, and never really was put in a place of influence like that with students. And our students were actually kind of our team we ran with, so it wasn't like we were kind of peers, And it was really in that I began to find a gifting for teaching, a gifting for leading, and more of a strong, dominant leader leading than I think I'd ever noticed happening before, kind of more of an intentional one. So,
how did you learn to work well with a team?
How did I learn to work well with a team? I kind of think it's part of my makeup.
Yeah.
Like, I'm very team oriented. I love working with people. I love everybody brings a different piece. We work together to execute something. I mean, I thrive on that. I've had several businesses over the years, and I often find myself, when I'm in a business where I work by myself, man, it's not fun. It's no fun for Dan.
Yeah.
It's like, I remember one year, one business I had, I hired a guy to actually be with me, and I couldn't really afford to, but man, it just felt so much better having someone with me that we felt like we were doing something and accomplishing something. So I think it was partially it was always something that was in me, but then obviously getting into a church dynamic and growing and leadership teams there, and seeing that we get to collaborate and be a part of something bigger than ourselves, and we get to do that together, man, that just fuels me. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So it's really knowing who you are.
Yes.
That's awesome.
That's definitely a good key.
Well, Dan, thanks for joining us. You're awesome. I love your brilliance and your wisdom on leadership, and you're so helpful to our community and to me. And you guys, thanks so much for joining us. We loved having you, and please join us next time.